I'm pretty sure that's the sound of a You idiot! You went down the wrong track! Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, we are back in Rails Unlimited, and today we're joined by Railroadpreserver and Ozzers. So yeah guys, let's get into the video. So yeah, Railroad, what are we taking a look at today?
Machine.
Our to-do list for today is we've got 3 new trains, Via Rail and Amtrak LRC locomotives. We've got a small town slugger. We've got 6 trains that have been updated, which is the Colossal, Horseshoe Hauler, West Coal Drag, Coastal Freight, Northwest Capital, and Red Flame, and 3 legacy trains, Hoboken Comet Legacy 1, Estonia Cargo Legacy 1, and Flying Scotsman Legacy 2.
And take a look at that. There's that awesome sunrise to start off the video. So yeah guys, let's get into it. Alright, so here's the first train we're taking a look at, and this is the Amtrak LRC. Now, it looks a little funky. It's actually a very rare type of Amtrak locomotive, if I'm right about that, Railroad.
The only 2 that are currently in preservation are 2 that Via Rail used, which we'll be getting to after Jesse reviews the Amtrak one.
Yeah, so this is basically, it looks very 90s to me, 80s and 90s, especially with the color scheme and the general design of the nose of the locomotive. The rest of the locomotive looks like a commuter train or something along those lines, but this is a very nicely detailed locomotive as well. And yeah, Railroad?
Jesse?
Yep.
Welcome to the Chad Express.
Oh gosh.
Actually, the LRC was built in 1980.
Really? That is interesting. Yeah, for some reason it kind of reminds me of a 1980s and 90s locomotive. Alright, so here we go. We are about to derail the locomotive, and there we go. Oh, hold on. That's a little funky. So basically I derailed the locomotive and it is just slowing to a stop. It looks like only one of the cars has really derailed, and just the rear portion of the engine. And we've come to a convenient stop right at the station as well. And yeah, so let's move on to the next locomotive. Alright, and the second locomotive we're checking out is the small town slugger. Now, this is another rarer type of locomotive, not only because it's based off a Conrail locomotive, but more about it as well, just about the engine type. And if Railroad would like to explain a little further, he can.
So the locomotive being used in the small town slugger is a first generation diesel. Mainly, from what I can tell, it looks to be a GP9 or GP7, which would have been built in the 50s. And by the time Conrail came around, there were still quite a few of these in service. The slug unit is a unit with no cab, but it's meant to be used in yard switching and local trains, and is usually coupled to the main locomotive, this one being the Jeep locomotive, and it's to provide extra traction for the engine when moving heavy loads.
So basically, it's just the engine part of the locomotive, right?
Actually, with a slug, the engine or prime mover is usually replaced with something like cement block or just something else. I don't know, maybe metal or something. Also, there's a Conrail bay window caboose in this consist, as well as a few Conrail boxcars and from what I can see, Penn Central boxcar and maybe some BN ones. You'd probably have to look. If Oz could please slow down so I can look at
I can see that something very destructive is happening there. Anyways,
Thank goodness the caboose is steel.
Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and hop into the small town slugger as well, so I can check it out for myself. And I'm also under the ground. And here is the locomotive up close and personal. You can see all the really nice detailings placed on this locomotive. It's a really far cry from what the first Rails Unlimited locomotives looked like. As you can see, there's a crazy Railroadpreserver jumping in front of the locomotive, and here is what the horn sounds like. So there you go.
Yeah, the horn sounds like it's a Leslie Typhon horn, which was a lot used mostly on the famous Pennsylvania Railroad GG1 locomotives. That's where you would have heard them.
Ooh, a switch ahead.
Your train.
Alright, I will move my train. You know what? I'm going to move my train just a few feet to the right. Oh, there's no track there? That's fine with me. And there we go. And there's a nice little derailment there. Alright, and as you can see, this derailment wasn't too bad. We have the engine and the slug just knocked over there. The engine is probably completely totaled. But the boxcar behind us is just slightly derailed. It could just be replaced on the track, and all the other cars are fine. So let's go ahead and move on to the next locomotive. And here we have the Flying Scotsman being presented by the Macaroni Man, or Ozzers Oz. And as you can see, it's been added back to the game, and you can tell that it's definitely an older Rails Unlimited. Wow, I'm underground.
I saw that.
Anyways,
You slipped right under the ice.
Anyways, it's an older Rails Unlimited locomotive, and you can tell that because it is not as detailed as the newer Rails Unlimited locomotives. You can see that it's just got the basics to it. I'm trying to get back on the land. This is not good. I'm perpetually stuck here.
Far.
There we go.
Good,
I'm back.
Oh, I see him.
And there goes the Flying Scotsman. And maybe in the future, I think this thing will actually be updated. That would be really cool to see. But, yeah, that is the Flying Scotsman. And, Ozzers, when we get to the next track switch, do you mind doing the honors of derailing the locomotive?
Sure, bro. Donovan, what are you doing, you silly man?
I'm train chasing. Don't judge me.
Alright, so here it is. The Flying Scotsman is about to basically die at this stage. So let's see what happens. Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. The whole engine flipped upside down.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that is the most exciting derailment we've seen so far. The whole engine flipped upside down, and the two cars are completely destroyed. And you can see that this car right here is just derailed. Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Ozzers.
By the way, as the hosts of Top Gear once said, keep calm and carry on.
Alright, and here we have the Snow Scraper. So, this is a pretty famous train for one reason, and that is basically clearing the tracks. Now, Railroad knows a bit of history on this locomotive, so why don't you tell us, Railroad?
Alright, so like the small town slugger, this one also has a first generation diesel, which is, I think, a GP7 or 9 as well that has been rebuilt, along with a Canadian National caboose. Now, the snow plow is a wedge plow. If you look on the sides of the plow, you can see blades that are able to be extended out by hydraulics to increase the width on each side of the tracks that's cleared by the snow plow. Now, I remember seeing a film made in the 1980s of these plows being used, and the motive power was not a GP9, but 50s or 60s era F units. So that was actually interesting to see, but this snowplow is one of several types that have been used by the railroads over the years. Some railroads still use them, but most use conventional plows now. But at one point, and as far as I know, some railroads used to use rotary snowplows. Now, those are snowplows that have basically a huge tunnel boring style blade on the front that literally eats the snow by picking it up and shooting it off to the side. Union Pacific still has some of these plows, and there's many that are in preservation. In fact, on the Durango and Silverton Scenic Railroad, there's one still in use that's steam powered. So if you do some video searches, you should be able to find it. But yeah, Jesse, I will turn it back to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that, Railroad. And here is what the horn sounds like on the locomotive. So yeah, it's a little bit of a unique horn. I don't know exactly what that is. But anyways, we are coming close to derailing the Snow Scraper. Oh gosh, not again.
Oh, speaking of derailments, that documentary also showed archive film of a real snowplow like this derailing.
And there we go. Not too dramatic. And, yeah, there we go. All the power just went out on the locomotive. And as you can see, here comes the steam engine, just slowly coming to a halt. Alright, and here we have the Hoboken Comet. Now, this is being driven by Railroadpreserver, and he does know quite a bit of history on this locomotive. And I should also mention, it is an older locomotive from Rails Unlimited, so it doesn't have too much detail on it whatsoever. But, yeah.
So, yeah, the locomotive is known as a U-34CH. It was built in 1970, originally for the Erie-Lackawanna's commuter service, in order to replace older equipment that was still in use at the time. And the engine and those that came after it in its class were in use from then until about the late 1990s, with all of them being retired completely in 1994. And out of all of them, only one was ever saved. Engine 3372, I think is the number. It was saved, and they're slowly trying to restore it to operation. A lot of the passenger equipment, though, is still in service to this day. Now, here's what the horn sounds like, which is not exactly accurate for the engine, because the engine would normally have an RS-type horn, a Leslie horn. It was painted in this blue and white livery early on, before being acquired by New Jersey Transit, which is when they repainted everything. But due to the livery, a lot of the crews and employees nicknamed the engines Bluebirds.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Oh, wow. That was the greatest derailment in Rails Unlimited history I have ever seen. Good job, bro.
Couldn't even move.
Well, I mean, I kind of... Okay, you know what? Nah, I'm going to respawn this, and I'm going to try that again.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. He's going in reverse. That's illegal. Arrest him. Pull over that locomotive.
It's no. Like shifting.
Well, that explains it. So the reason that we're dancing on the track is because we are so confident that railroad is going to get lost somehow, even on a railroad track, that we are just convinced he's not going to be able to pass down this track. I'm pretty sure that's the sound of a You idiot! You went down the wrong track! Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time guys. Goodbye!